Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear all SESMI members and participants, Assalamu alaikum. Very warm welcome to this webinar series arranged by Saudi Society for Medical Education, Riyadh Office, General Club. I'm Dr. Shazia Iqbal, Chairperson and Head of Continued Professional Development Activities at Saudi Society for Medical Education, SESMI Riyadh Office. You know that medical education focuses on development of effective learning and assessment methods, which promote the acquisition of students' knowledge and competencies. And progress testing is one of the form of longitudinal assessment method. Progress test is a comprehensive knowledge assessing, testing approaches where we can assess all the curriculum with different objectives and different disciplines for different level of students. So this webinar will offer insight into progress testing, perspectives and prospectives, and our speaker will discuss the concept of progress testing, highlight the rationale and benefits of current practices of progress testing, and we shall look into future decision of progress testing. I'm very much honored and delighted to present our distinguished speaker today, Dr. Majid Mohammad Saleh Wadi. Very warm welcome, Dr. Majid Wadi, to SESMI Riyadh Office. Dr. Majid Wadi is physician by background, and he has more than 10-year experience in medical education, particularly with student assessment. He serves in different leadership and scholarly positions in Malaysia, Yemen, and Saudi Arabia. Currently, he is supervisor of medical education department and coordinator of assessment unit at College of Medicine, Qasim University. He is serving as a scientific coordinator of progress tests at Qasim University, Saudi Arabia, and he has been the assistant dean for academic affairs at Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University of Health Sciences Technology, Yemen. His interest is student assessment, psychometrics, progress testing, student well-being, and curriculum. So today it's a good chance that we can have good experience from his reflections on working on progress testing. So very warm welcome, Dr. Wadi, to our webinar, and very warm welcome to all participants. This session will be recorded, and recording will be shared with all of you by end of this webinar. And definitely I shall be moderating this session, and we shall take question by end of session. So I shall keep eyes on chat box, and at the end you can ask your question either by unmute or you can write in chat box. So over to you, Dr. Wadi.
Thank you, Dr. Shazia. And thank you, my colleagues in Saudi Society for Medical Education and all participants and attendants today. I'm very happy to be with this session. I would like to share a humble experience about progress testing, perspectives, and prospectives. So there are some points I would like to shed light on. So first, I would like to discuss about the concept of progress testing, and then the rationale and benefits behind progress testing, and what is the current practice of progress testing so far, and then the future direction where we can go after we know the essential or the background of progress testing, and then what's the future directions for the progress testing. So basically, the first point is about the concept of progress test or progress testing sometimes, because both names are synonym to each other. So progress testing is a special type of test used to determine the level of knowledge gained during academic years relative to the expected level of knowledge a medical graduate should possess. This definition could be difficult to understand at the beginning, but if we go deeper in this concept and take the key words in this concept we can highlight on, then the concept will be much easier for us. So the first point is special test. What does it mean, special test? We mean that it is not related to any given course. That means this test is not exit exam, for example, is not a final exam, is not a special quiz for a given course. It is not exit or license exam, or even it is not a quiz. It is a special designed test tackling the whole medical curriculum from first year to the last year. So it is holistic and comprehensive. The second keywords, that is, this test determines the level of knowledge gained or growth during academic years. As you see here in this picture, from the first year until the last year, it's expected from a medical student to gain a lot of knowledge. Then we should able to quantify this knowledge in numbers to see how much our graduate or medical student gained at the end of their journey in medical school. So that means holistic, matching the core curriculum, the essential knowledge that medical students should have in their minds after graduation, tackle the functional core knowledge, and measuring the curriculum growth from first to final years. This is the main things that we mean by the gained knowledge of academic years. The last key concepts here in this progress test concept is expected level of knowledge the medical graduate should possess in their graduation. That means program outcome. Nowadays that we know that there is a shift of medical education from content based to outcome based medical education. And we know now that the majority of the curriculum design are focused on the outcome, and then from the outcome, they gradually or from backward onward curriculum design to tailor the curriculum based on the outcome. So it is a backward, forward design from the program outcome to the core curriculum content. Okay, this is what we mean by the concept of progresses. So progresses, again, it is a special type of test that means neither a final exam, none a special quiz, none also listening exam, not exit exam. So it is a special type of test, testing the growth of knowledge among medical graduate that the program learning outcome already designed to achieve such knowledge. So if we compare the ordinary testing, that means either quiz or final exam or summative assessment with the progress test. Ordinary test is just single course unit. That means we are responsible for many courses, and when we design our test to be, for example, multiple quizzes, midterm exam, and final exam. This is the ordinary test. While the progress test is the whole curriculum. That means from the first day of medical school until the last day. The ordinary test focus on input. That means what students should have in their mind, or what the curriculum contain first. But for the progress test, focus on the output. That means the outcome. Ordinary test running fragmented because there are many courses running together. So that means one day we have summative assessment for a given course, and another day we have another, for example, maybe midterm course and so on, while the progress test is integrated. Okay, another point for the fragmentation, fragment test because there is no link between a given course and another course, while the progress test give a whole picture of the medical curriculum, especially the core medical knowledge that our graduates should have. Ordinary test running for one time. It can be repeated as reset exam, while progress test is running multiple times, either per years or throughout the journey of a medical curriculum. What's the philosophy behind progress testing? Why the medical educators think about this special type of test? We know that adopting BBL curriculum at the beginning, it has a lot of challenges, and many medical educators resist the concept of problem-based learning. And from that notion, especially the assessment of the curriculum with problem-based learning, the idea of progress testing comes. So we know that we have a competency framework. That means our graduates should have certain point or certain level of knowledge. That means the competency framework. So far in Saudi Arabia, we have Saudi MEDS as competency for medical graduate. And one of the core Saudi MEDS competency is knowledge or scientific practice. It's called scientific practice. That means the graduate should be able to practice the medicine with good scientific background good knowledge foundation, so he can able or she can able to practice medicine with sufficient knowledge, make him to take a decision safely so that not harm the patient in the community. So this competency can be national or international. Internationally, we have CANMEDS, Canadian Medical Tributes or Competency. For in the British UK, we have General Medical Council and so on. From this framework, the curriculum designer tailor their intended learning outcome. What are this program should have as intended learning outcome, or what's called ILOs. Then the curriculum is come. After determining the learning outcome, the curriculum is come, split out this learning outcome into special type of courses or special type of units. Okay. And then educational activity, either lecture-based, or for example, seminar, PBL, whatever the approach of educational in a given course, in a given program. So this program already tailored to be first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and maybe more than this according to the curriculum for every university. And then at the end of the day, we have a graduate with solid, or what you call it, scientific background or scientific knowledge. So we need to test this knowledge at the end of the day with this competency. We have to make close link between them. Then the idea of progress test comes. So the progress test is a special type of test, should be implemented for first year state student, second year student, third year and fourth year and 5th year. If we establish such a relationship or link between what's expected from medical graduate and then the curriculum, what's the framework or theoretical background to develop this graduate, then we can run the progress test, and then we can give feedback for many stakeholders, including student and administration. So we know that suppose if we quantify the previous figure in number, for example, we know that the first year medical student have minimal amount of medical knowledge, maybe 10, while the second year should increase, and third year and fourth year and 5th year. So the progress test should measuring the final outcome, the level of measurement in this level, and also end of program objectives. Okay, now going deeper to the concept of progress test, to have an idea about it. What are the characteristics of progress test? It is curriculum independent. That means it is not related to any given course, neither medicine, neither surgery, neither pediatric, obstetrician, and so on. It is holistic test, tackling all core medical knowledge, regardless the discipline. So not end of course exam, targeting knowledge learning outcome at graduate level at discipline, and it is meticulously designed test. That means very special consideration during construction of progress testing. Special blueprint, special criteria for test items, and no direct connection between the test and any specific course. It should be totally independent. That means, suppose that I give a lecture in internal medicine, I emphasize on certain point. In the progress test, this area should not be tested, or the same thing. It should test the knowledge that any medical graduate, either in my school or another school, should be able to answer it. Okay, implemented to all students in all academic years or academic level, from first year to all to the final year. It can be implemented one time per academic year and repeated the second year, or it can be implemented more than one time in academic year. In Maastricht, they implemented 4 times per year and repeated every year. There is no need for revision. That means students should not revise their curriculum before sitting for the progresses, because it is a snapshot test, able to grasp or make spot point or spot diagnosis about how much the student have a knowledge. As I said, that we need to quantify the knowledge the graduate should have throughout the curriculum. What's the rationale behind progress test, and what is the benefit of progress testing? Progress test enhance long-term knowledge retention. That means should focus on the functional and the core knowledge or relevant knowledge. This is by Short and Bluton 2012. Actually, if the student face a question that link it to the future practice, he will not be easy to forget because he will keep his mind about thinking about such question. The progresses also promote self-evaluative judgment and self-direction learning, because if I sit for a progress test and then I have feedback about my performance, so I can easily understand the area of weakness, so I can work on to improve. And it is a tool for diagnostic, prognostic, and remedial interventions. So this feedback after the progress test, either for the medical student as well as for the administration in the medical school, they can easily understand where the area of defect. If the progress test is designed and linked to the core medical knowledge, as we described. Okay. Okay. So another rationale and benefit is the benchmarking. The result of progress test can be used for benchmarking. I can, as a student, compare my performance in this year with the second year and with the third year, so I see my growth in knowledge. Is one thing. Another thing, for medical school, they can compare their performance throughout academic years, as well as throughout the time from for example, 2021, 2022, and so on. And also, it can be benchmarking with another medical school if they, for example, multi-school implement the progress testing. Then we can have a future prediction of the performance among medical students as well as for the school. A study found that those performed better in progress test performed better in licensing exam and also in the postgraduate studies. So what are the current practice of progress testing so far, either globally or locally? Before that, we have to shed some light about the history of progress, from where it comes and how much the practicing country in the globe. It comes from McMaster University, Canada, and then Maastricht University, Netherlands, and also the UK, and then Belgium, and then Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. They start to implement progress test. At the beginning, it was one school for some school implemented in their local. Then we have good collaboration with many medical schools. The Qasim Medical College is a leading school and to organize the progress tests over all the kingdom. And also there are many countries, Spain, Portugal, and South Africa, Brazil, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. So many medical schools adopt the progress test since it has a lot of benefits. In Saudi Arabia, there are usually, for every year, there are more than 25 medical schools run the progress test at one time, and then more than 8,000 students sit for this progress test. What are the features? What are the design process of the progress test? So we would like to discuss the test features, test blueprinting, item criteria, source of item, and also test implementation, how it can be done. The test feature of the progress test. First, the item format. Usually, the most used item format for progress test is single-based MCQs. That means clinical scenario with options. However, there are different schools using other forms, especially true-false, sometimes extended matching question, sometimes even short answer question. But all they are common in testing the written knowledge. So usually single-based MCQs, clinical minute, lead-in question, and then 4 options, including the key answer, and the 5th option, I don't know. Although this area is debatable among scholars of medical education, but the idea behind adopting and using I don't know as options in progress test, there are many benefits. For example, to make sure that reducing the guessing effect of the student, because sometimes some school adopt the penalty if using the incorrect answer and ignoring I don't know. So the student should admit from the beginning If he didn't know the exact knowledge, should answer I don't know. Another point is the improving the professional behavior among medical students rather than to take misconduct and selecting wrong options. So that may lack of knowledge and also decrease the liability of guessing. For example, this is an item coming in the progress test. For example, a 25-year-old lady is investigated for pallor. Peripheral blood smears show microcytic hyperchromic RBCs. The question, which of the following is the preferred initial diagnostic test for her? So the main idea, diagnostic test. This question asking student to think about the background of the scenario and then testing his ability to make clinical judgment, clinical reasoning, and also decision making, because the diagnostic test or diagnostic ability, one of the features of the decision making. So there are the options: serum iron, serum ferritin, transferrin saturation, serum transferrin receptor level, and I don't know as fifth option. We cannot differentiate this question come from which discipline. Maybe family medicine, maybe internal medicine, maybe clinical pathology, and so on. So that means this higher integration. The area is iron deficiency anemia, as we can easily understand from the options, and the skilled management competencies and so diagnostic ability. Another features of the progress testing is test nature, formative or summative. There is another debate among medical educationists. Usually and internationally, it is used for formative assessment. However, some schools adopt it as continuous assessment, especially Maastricht University, because they run the progress test 4 times a year, and then some point of given for the student throughout their academic journey in medicine. And at the end of the day, these points summed or cumulative to make a decision for progression. It can be contextualized based on the local considerations. It can be running from formative to summative assessment, but with minimal weightage of the progress test, because as you know, this is very special progress test. Item numbers, the literature say that it range from 120 to 200. Sometimes they use 400 MCQs. Test duration, it can be from 3 to 4 hours according to time of the MCQ, number of MCQs. And the test mode, it can be paper-based, online, or sometimes computerized. We will discuss it later. Now, this is the feature of the progress test. What about the blueprinting of progress test? We have 2 aspects we should think about it: the general blueprint and specific blueprint. General blueprint, that means should shed light on the main or core content of the medical curriculum. And we have to think about weightage for each content, which area should be higher more than others. While for the specific blueprint, we have to be comprehensive, very detailed, to label or categorize every item based on certain criteria. So it is multi-dimensional matching of content blueprint. For example, general blueprinting, that means organ system, since the majority of the medical school in Saudi Arabia adopt integrated medical curriculum. So we have to think about the organ system, how much from respiratory system, cardiovascular, discipline, either from anatomy, surgery, pathology, and so on. Cognitive skills of practice, what we need to test, ability of diagnosis, ability of management and prevention approach, and so on. The process and tasks, for example, mechanism of disease, principle of therapeutic, and so on. There are many features of the designing blueprint. The designing the blueprint or construction of the blueprint depend on the local contextual needs. For example, in Maastricht, they have different approach to design blueprint, while in our experience here in Saudi Arabia, we have this approach. We need to spell it out from each discipline, how many items come, covering other consideration. So this table is sophisticated. It is just the beginning of the table, because we have to spell it for how much percentage from each discipline and based on the organ system and skill that needed from the medical students. Here we need expert consensus base, because in order to come or make sure that how many percentage should come from each discipline, and we need also some data from our local community in terms of incidence and prevalence. That means we should adapt the social accountability in the progress test, cultural and social consideration as well. So all these the blueprinting consideration, general and specific. While the criteria for progress testing items, it should be knowledge at the level of graduate, an important aspect of medical practice. That means core knowledge and evidence-based knowledge. This knowledge should be evidence-based. The first one, we need to test functional or core knowledge as described, and we need to knowledge that from the basis of one or more important concept of curriculum. Important for practice, that means relevance or high prevalence disease according to the community data, and also the high risk medical situation in which rapid decision is needed. For that reason, we should focus this area on the progress test. Of course, our knowledge or that coming to the student should be up to date and evidence-based. Okay, we have to think about the literature and make sure that the idea is really existed in the literature and tackle the important point. Now, how we can get progress test item? The first one, de novo, that means from local construction. Item should be not directed to related any particular unit or course. That means those item writers should not be biased to themselves, should write what are the core knowledge from their own course that the medical graduate at the end of the day should have in his mind. Meticulous, targeted to the blueprint, or we can bring some progress item from bank if we have a special bank for progress test, or make collaboration, for example, Qasim University with AA University make collaboration to each other, and they can they run progress test. Or consortium, for example, nowadays there's a Dutch consortium, and in Europe it is a big body would have many items of progress testing throughout the medical curriculum in Europe. Item test implementation, as we see here, it can be written based, that means paper based, or computerized, or online. So we need to think about the date, to have to fix a date for the progress test, how many times, if one time or more than. The venue, we have to make a venue for all students throughout the program from first year to 5 year, and we have to establish invigilation team. After that, the test is running, then we have to think about the most important point, that is post-test analysis and feedback that will be given for students, schools, as well as medical teachers or test item constructor. Feedback for student, for college, for item writer, for all even national bodies. For student, results were declared online. It should be a system to create backup and also record and archive for medical student in one website. Then the student he able or she able to evaluate themselves every year. And this point should become one by one for every time the student sit for progress test. For example, the comparison or the percentage will be for his or her general score in the whole test, and then sub-score for each according body system, how much he get, respiratory, cardiovascular, different discipline, anatomy, physiology, internal medicine, surgery, and so on, different process, diagnosis and other process. In both situations, this was compared. Then the result should be for the student performance indeed in the previous items, and also comparison of the student performance either with his or her patch in the same level, or throughout the school, or throughout the country if it is running globally or locally at the whole country. For example, here a snapshot for the one of the student performance. Here the process, and here the score he get for every discipline or every area, and then his rank among test examinees, and then the comparison between his performance and other all the students that sit in the exam. Another comparison, because students would have many windows to see his performance in different disciplines. This is the discipline-wise approach and his performance in the items, and then ranking and so on, and another comparison with national and average. That means different school sit together at the same day. Then he can be see his performance among the other medical students, not only in his college, but also in the over the country. This is another area of the test blueprinting. Sorry, I mean feedback. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah. Also, the result for colleges. Each participant college was provided with a general result analysis. It should be anonymized because the school is focusing on the main point, how much they perform compared to other schools. Okay, and detailed analysis for own student result as described in the last slides. Here, this is a curve to make comparison between different schools. The bold red line, that means national average, the performance of medical students throughout the country from first year to the last year. As we saw, there is growth of knowledge from first to the last year. And also the school or the college can have a different feedback about the performance of a student in different academic years. So that means they can have feedback about the spiral approach, the clinical judgment, and so on. Also, average of total score of one college. This is an example. Another example, the school can be given more detail about the discipline-based approach, body system as well. So all these kind of feedback with many sophisticated items or aspects that should be covered in this feedback for the medical schools. Now, we understand the idea about the progress test, and we have some consideration to run progress test. Then, what are the future direction? As we described, the data, the progress test for the student can be used to adopt what is kind of, for example, what's called programmatic assessment. Okay, since the students sit for this test every year from the first year and then last year, we can benefit from experience in Maastricht, because Maastricht adopts programmatic assessment to take a decision at the end of the day. This student should be graduated safely or has some point to be take actions. So based on this data, we can augment our decision to take such big decision. Also, the frequent and constructive feedback for students will enhance their learning. And also the pass-fail decision as described should be augmented on the progress test data point. Yeah. Another important aspect, since we are live in the fourth industrial revolution, and we as medical teacher think about the progress test. Previously, in the previous slide, I described about the progress test is only focused on the written knowledge rather than skills. Although some schools try to implement OSCE as a progress test, but of course, difficult to implement, particularly if it is running through many schools. However, we can benefit from the current fourth industrial revolution to design, for example, and using artificial intelligence, for example, or visual reality or clinical assessment as well, and also maybe gamification and computerized, so we can run the progress test with different aspects. Maybe clinical skills can be tested using such facility, or we can adopt a progress test to be more interesting for the student, and then feedback for them will be very, very, very good. Okay. So, as I described, artificial intelligence and VR or gamification and computerized adaptive testing. Nowadays, I would like to share the last thing that Europe already advanced us using computerized adaptive testing and progress testing. So this special type of test with implementing what is called item response theory. So the student will be directed to the items that is fit for his level. But these need many items at the same time, not only the 200 items. And the modeling or developing of mathematical model to compare or to link items will be very sophisticated. Conclusion, I would like to conclude these points. Progress test is a useful tool for benchmarking, either for student, schools, as well as national body. It provides longitudinal data for our record, comprehensive report for about performance of student in different area of curriculum and the core knowledge, nature of yearly progress of batches, and also position among other colleges. Progress tests help to adopt programmatic assessment as described previously, so that taking the serious decision to promote or retain some student will be dependent on this data point. And also a curriculum diagnostic tool, that means we can provide strength area and weak area in our curriculum. We can remedial and make intervention at the appropriate time. Also, progress test is not restricted to BBL program, nor a single institution. That means it can be run for other curriculum. For example, not only medical, maybe pharmaceutical or pharmacy or dental, or even non-medical school can adopt and implement the progress test. Progress test can be used in many health profession curricula or even other curricula as described, and progress test has a potential for future application and implementation, especially with existing of the fourth industrial revolutions and the era of artificial intelligence. Take home message: progress test is a student motivated test and curriculum monitoring tool. Test item tagging is very important and very helpful for post analysis. More collaboration with regional and medical school will give a valuable benchmarking and feedback for several stakeholders in the Middle East region, for example, and globally, inshallah, for the upcoming days. Thank you for your time. And this is the reference that I use to prepare my presentation. And also, we would like to share our experience in running progress test 10 years ago. It was published in the Journal of Taiba University Medical Sciences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Majid Wadi, for this wonderful presentation, the way you have given us insight about progress testing, and you have started with history and taking us through benefits and the way it is practically being applied. It was an amazing presentation. I'm more than happy to take questions from participants, so please feel free to raise your hand or write your comments in chat box. There is one question and comment by Dr. Doa in chat box that I think students at certain academic level should study this. I think probably she dropped her comment at the level of your presentation when you were talking that it is not mandatory to take, but definitely it is. It gives some kind of evaluation and progress of the student at that level in academics. But I think she wants to say that it should be integrated or maybe electively taken.
I would like to highlight in this area, about the preparation for test. If the approach of this test is formative assessment, so that means no need to study, because formative assessment there is no mark. We should the main aspect of the formative assessment is giving proper feedback about the student performance. However, if there is some direction to use the marks of progress test as sort of continuous assessment, then preparation is maybe mandated. But however, since the item already tackling the most important aspect of curriculum, the student should be able to answer it. Because items of progress test is not targeting for any topic, neither lecture per se. However, for the core knowledge that students should have.
There is one more comment by Dr. Thuraya Katan in chat box. Thank you for this presentation. Can you do one progress test a year and see the progression over the years? Or do you need minimum of 2 progress tests?
Yes. Can we do one progress test a year and see the progression over the? Of course, because the progress test implemented. For example, suppose that we have a medical school with 5 academic level, first, second, third, and 5. This, for example, this student in the current academic year 2022, the progress test should be implemented for them. Then the second year, another progress test with the same characteristics, same area, but different items should be implemented again. Then the comparison will be easy, and so on for the academic year 2024 and 2025 and so on. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Ahmad Mansoor, please unmute and you can comment.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shazia, and thank you for Sesame Riyadh for this wonderful series. Thank you, Dr. Wadi, for a great presentation. I think progress test is one of success stories in medical education in Saudi Arabia, led by Qasim University. I lived with this story a long time ago and till now. My comment, Dr. Wadi, is from the ground, from the practical point of view. I think our students, the problem of utilizing progress tests to the maximum to get the benefits that you just highlighted is that our progress test is in a format of formative, let's say optional thing. We try to push our student to take it with different methods in different school. But because of our summative system, summative assessment system in all of the medical schools, our students, they are not taking the progress test seriously in regard of taking it and in regard of feedback and improving themselves according to the result of progress test and so on. So this is an observation. I don't know if you go through it during your evaluation of this experience. This is number one. Number two is a suggestion, and I am really happy that you highlighted the prediction value of the artificial intelligence and how can it will be helpful with this treasure of data that you have in progress test result over the 10 years. So I think this also could be utilized to the maximum to convince students, colleges, and educationists that this test is important and it's helpful in prediction of the student performance and also can be helpful for their specialty choices in the future. So I want your comment on those two things, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed Mansour, for valuable comment and really good and insight feedback, and also deep direction for the future. The first point I would like to share our challenge, because to convince students to attend for progress test with the existing of other many summative assessment is not easy task. However, if the student have good orientation about the progress test, especially for those who will after the graduation, and also link the progress test with the Saudi medical licensing examination, then the student will be attend more. Another point, maybe we can adopt in our Qasim College of Medicine. We every year we have sort of the dean list for those who performed good in progress test. For that reason, students compete among each other to attend for the progress test. For the second point about the utilization of data and artificial intelligence to make prediction of student to career selection, really good idea, Dr. Mohammed Mansour. Thank you. I like it. Thank you. And you read something behind the line. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed, for valuable feedback. Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Karimuddin Saleh, you can ask. Dr. Karimuddin. There is one.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Jazia, for this opportunity. And I would like to convey my appreciation to the presenter, Dr. Majid. It is well prepared, actually, and straightforward. And just I have to comment, Dr. Majid. The first one, the psychometric analysis, the normal psychometric analysis, which you know. For instance, in my course in pediatrics, when I apply it, when I look at the reliability, the discrimination, the distractor, dysfunctionality, it will give me very good reflection of the performance.
Yes.
Do you apply it in this test? This is number one. Number two, as you know, there is discussion in literature about the number of MCQs of the distractor, 3 or 4. Most of the people now on the trend of just providing one key answer and 2 distractor, because in such a way you will cover a huge part of your curriculum or the competencies needed. I think since you have 200 up to 400 questions, why still it is 4? And why it is 4 hours? So I think if we adopt these 2 distractor, it will be useful also for the candidate. What is your opinion?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Karim, for this nice question. And the most important 2 points. The first thing is psychometric analysis of the progress test and usability and applicability in the practice, and also as well as in the for feedback. For the difficulty index, we should highlight, because I know and it is expected by why for the discrimination index with comparing many students from different contexts is difficult to run. Although the data can be generated, but it is unfair to make a psychometric analysis regarding the discrimination point. However, we use difficulty index as well as reliability index because difficulty index by default can be cumulated to each other to highlight which area the student perform very low. It is by logic concern. While for the psychometric, the discrimination index with attending of different students from first year to fifth year with different knowledge background, different context, different curriculum, different factor and discrimination index, I think it is not fair to declare for the students. Second point about what is that, Dr. Karim? Can you remind me?
The number of distractor.
Yeah, number of distractor. Okay. Actually, I agree with you. 3 functional distractor is better than 4 and 5. But we try to be adhere to the guideline that already provided from the Saudi Medical Licensing Examination, Saudi Commission for Health Specialization, since the 4 options still plausible and can be generated, and also the way that the MCQ items in progress test should be select those who are those options or those distractors that are really very functioning and has a possible to be answered as correct answer. For that reason, when Mark Albanese described his critical analysis about the progress test in his paper that's already published in 2006 in Advanced Medicine Journal, he highlight about the criteria for writing MCQs in the progress test. Yeah. So about the number of options, I agree with you. 3 is enough, but we are to be stick to the current practice and by the Saudi Commission for Health Specialization. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Ikram, you can unmute and can ask.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. This is Faisal Ikram, Director Assessment at Faisal University. Thank you very much, Dr. Majid, for a wonderful presentation. I have a question from your last answer about the discriminatory analysis. Have you tried to run a discriminatory analysis which is year specific, the years by the student level specific?
Yeah, understand your point. Yeah. Okay. We try to run it but since we do with existing huge data, we need good software to generate such data, because it is huge to run the discrimination analysis for term of periods. However, those medical school who would like to know the discrimination index of the items can begin, and a special report can be delivered for them for the school based on their academic years. Yes, can be. We generate it, but according it's customized based on the requirement of the medical schools.
That would be wonderful. That I will be really interested in looking at that.
Thank you. Thank
Rather,
you.
if it is available for the past record also, because we are participating for last 9 years, so it will be wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you. Most welcome.
And the
We have
second,
some.
the second question, that we are doing it online for last 2 years, but that is not done on a system where yani, students are doing it from home, and a lot of unfair means we have noticed that has been used because the averages has gone up. So what is the
Understood.
plan for this year, and what is the plan for doing it online under supervision?
Okay. Actually, we know that the ideal thing, Dr. Muhammad Ikram, to run online progress test with special software that make restrictions for other software. This is the ideal. Or it can be implemented in a computer lab with huge number of computers to adopt all students together at the same time. Or we can adopt, for example, another form of what you call it online invigilations using IA powers, IA technology, and so on. But since the idea behind the progress test, the main idea is formative and providing feedback, we already, I think, decided to run the online progress test by this way. Really, for the current year and the plan to use or to go for online, I don't know, because it is already, we will be discussed in the logistic committee to adopt the progress test for the upcoming events, inshallah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. There is one comment by Dr. Iman Asad that is the same version of progress test used to test different in different years?
The same version?
Yes.
No,
In
not the
same-
same version. But the
Oh,
same area, the same area, yes. Same area, but with different VNet. But the main target will be the same area.
All right. Rest of the questions, I think they are just comments.
I think one of the audience or colleague asked me to provide the reference list. Maybe I can.
Yes. Yes, if you can provide some references.
Maybe I can try to. Yeah.
So,
Maybe
Dr.
later
Majid,
I can send you Dr. Rashad. Yes. Okay.
yeah, my comment is just the continuation of the comment of Dr. Ahmad Mansoor and somehow Dr. Ikram as well, that we have been running progress test at VN colleges since 4-5 years. And the same, it has been noticed that sometimes students, they register, but they don't appear. And we print large number of copies of progress test, which is 200, 300 questions. And at the end, it's all waste of resources and energies on faculty behalf, because we are booked for invigilation, but student doesn't appear. So what is your plan to make it online and standardized for all institutions? That is there any plan for future so that things become easy, that students can opt it in future just online, but it should be a secure exam?
Of course, this is in our plan. Actually, last year we ran it both version, paper-based as well as online. So those who some schools would prefer to make it online for students, so they can access the test from any place. But the main thing is the idea or the reason behind using the progress feedback or format assessment. For that reason, online testing, of course, is preferred, but the infrastructure that is needed to make or to secure other difficulties, especially the possibility of cheating or sitting together, or sharing the same answers, cannot be controlled unless we can use spatial software. That is to prevent anything. Yeah. And even the we know that during COVID-19, how much the medical schools, not only medical school, but other schools suffered from the security of testing that those implemented online. But with using with the existing or the provided facility, some school are overcome or pass from this challenge easily. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Mohammed Ikram.
I
Yes, Dr. Majid, having experience of 5 year of running online examinations, I love to extend my support and my institution support for progress test, making it online. So if any help you need from us, we are ready to assist you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Sure.
Well, my last question from my side is that you mentioned that when we look at result at institution level, yes, we see difference that where we stand as compared to other medical schools, and you mentioned that there is remedial intervention, so that can be done to improve next time. So, what will be your opinion or advice for curriculum developer? That is, this result has some impact on some change in curriculum, or to which extent we should think to change, bring change to improve next time, or which kind of remedial intervention you can suggest for curriculum developer?
Let me share an example. For example, since the items is tagged or linked to certain areas in medicine, for example, diagnosis approach or based on discipline, for example, parasitology or virology, or even some oncological aspects, then the analysis of the progress test will identify the weakness of the student in this area, particularly those students who are at graduation level that should master this area. Then from feedback, we can see, look at the curve, we can identify this area our student perform less. We need to know why. Maybe we can request further analysis or discuss with the student why they perform less in this area. Or we can ask our curriculum designer and maybe the medical teachers at the existing medical school about the area. For example, one of the school found that their curriculum is deficient in parasitological topics, because then the remedial action taken by enhancing the parasitology topic by either inoculation for the next courses to overcome the constraint or deficient area, or can be run as online, open panel discussion about the areas for all students who are supposed to have to cover. Another area, maybe, for example, dealing with antibiotics or dealing with the managerial skills or professional attitude, for example, or so many areas can be identified based on the curve that given to the medical school, which area the school need to look for to make remedial for curriculum. Yes.
That's great. Thank you so much. I think all of the questions have been taken up. So a lot of appreciation for your presentation is there in chat box, and people want some references if you can share with us. Definitely recording of this webinar will be shared with all participants through their email. So I think we have covered nicely on time. So I would say thank you so much for your precious time and accepting our invitation. And thanks to all participants. So I would say goodbye then. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Good night.